Happy Wednesday. Eric Lofholm here. Thrilled to be with you here this morning on this beautiful Wednesday morning. If you're right-handed, take your right hand. If you're left-handed, take your left hand. Pat yourself on the back. Tell yourself, great job for being here this morning. Type into the chat, today is a great day. Today is a great day. And the reason why I have you pat yourself on the back is I want to encourage you to be your number one cheerleader, which is very different than what a lot of people are, which is their harshest critic. Many people will say, I am my harshest critic. I want you to be your number one cheerleader. And that's why I'll have you acknowledge yourself for being here this morning. I'd love to hear what part of the world are you joining me from today. And we are now live streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, which is super cool. So type into the chat and let me know what part of the world are you joining me from here this morning. And I've got a couple of ideas to share with you to help you have a great day. And the first idea is why this call even exists. You know, why for us to gather here live, or if you're catching the recording, you know, what's the reason that we're here? And my answer is inputs. What you put in your mind matters. And what goes in there consciously or unconsciously, what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, you know, these are all things that influence our thinking. And so this call is all about positivity. It's all about motivation. It's all about you can do it. It's all about helping you see the extraordinary, beautiful human being that you are. And I'm thrilled that you made the decision to be with me here this morning. And I've got a couple of possible breakthrough ideas to share with you. And it only takes one idea to create a breakthrough. And when you learn a good idea, you have the benefit of that idea for the rest of your life. And the first idea is something I learned many years ago, and it's just as relevant today as it was many years ago, and that is to think in decades. Now, I've been doing this motivational work now since 1999 professionally, and I've asked many audiences, how far out into the future do you think, do you goal set, and do you plan? And I'll tell you the most common answer I've gotten in asking that question of audiences all over the world is, Eric, I think out in the future, 5 years or less. So if that's where your thinking is, if that's where your goal setting is, right, you're going to come up with answers that are relevant to your life 5 years or less. Well, I learned to think in decades. And I went to this Willie Nelson concert last summer, and it's not because, well, I'm a Willie Nelson fan now, but I wasn't then. And I love spending time with my wife, and it was a Saturday, and I asked my wife, you know, what are you up to tonight? She goes, well, I'm going to the Willie Nelson concert with my friends. And I wasn't a Willie Nelson fan, so I didn't think to be included in with that. And I wanted to be with my wife that night. And so I said, if I buy a ticket, it was general admission on the lawn where her seats were. I said, if I buy a ticket, can I go with you and your friends? And she goes, yeah, of course. So I bought a ticket, not to go see Willie Nelson. I bought a ticket to be with my wife. And then Willie Nelson came out and performed. And I had no idea how old he was. And he was awesome. And I fell in love with Willie Nelson that night because he was awesome. And he's 89. And that created a new possibility in my mind. I'm 52. So I was like, I want to be like Willie Nelson. I want to be performing. I want to be doing a Facebook Live or a LinkedIn Live or a YouTube Live. I want to be coaching at 89. I want to be doing my 5,000 walking steps a day at age 89. And it created a possibility in my mind that didn't exist until that moment. I saw a possibility of what my life could look like at 89, because here's Willie Nelson performing in front of all these people. And it got me fired up. Well, 52 minus 89, whatever the math is on that, 37 years or whatever, I may be off. But the point is, I saw something for myself multiple decades in the future. So what do I need to do to take care of my body so I can be performing at 89? What do my goals need to be so I can be that at 89? Where do you want to be financially in your 70s and 80s? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever got out the pen and written it down? Where do you want to be financially in your 70s and 80s? A lot of people are unnecessarily broke in their 70s and 80s. Why? Because they never thought about it, right? What do you want your body to be able to do in your 70s and 80s? I want to be able to do my 5,000 walking steps a day, which is what I do in my 50s. Well, in order to do that, I got to plan for that. There's a lot of people in their 70s and 80s that aren't where they don't have their body where they want it to be. Why? Because they never thought about it. Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret, you can find it on YouTube, said, "We become what we think about." We become what we think about. So if you think about what you want your body to be able to do in the future, where do you want to live in the future? I'm talking about decades in the future. That one idea, I learned it, I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago, and it created a shift in my life. My life was going a certain way, right? And then all of a sudden, it started going a different direction because I changed my thinking. Your thinking creates your reality. We create our reality with our thoughts. So if you start thinking about what's going to be going on in your financial life in your 70s and 80s, it's going to change, in theory, it probably will in reality, change your actions in the present moment about what's happening in your life financially. You'll probably come to the realization, I need to be investing more. I was having a conversation with my 17-year-old daughter the other day, and we're talking about investing, and she's like, "Dad, I need to be investing more." She's 17. Because I taught her compounding. If you're not familiar with compounding, go study it. Go learn about compounding and how money works. Most people aren't where they want to be financially, not because they don't have the intelligence, not because they're not making enough money. They just don't understand how money works. And once you understand how, it's not that complicated. All right, moving on. I want to tell you guys about a new show that I'm doing. Dr. Moyne is my mentor and coach in sales and has been since 1994. And he and I are doing a live stream every Monday at 4 o'clock Pacific. Put it down in your calendars. It's the Influence Show with Dr. Moyne and Eric Lofholm. And we're talking everything about influence, and it's free. And Dr. Moyne does not have a lot of content out in the world. And so it's an opportunity for you to learn from my mentor. And I'm super excited about it. So we're going to be streaming live just like this show, LinkedIn, Instagram. I got to figure out the Instagram live stream. LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Put on your calendars Monday at 4, and we'll podcast it. I don't know what the link is yet for the podcast, but next show's Monday, a week from yesterday, a week from 2 days ago. Okay, let me give you one more breakthrough idea before we wrap up, maybe two. And it has to do with your self-image. Your self-image is your mental picture of yourself. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see greatness? Do you see extraordinary? Do you see potential? Or what I used to see when I was younger, because I didn't know, when I looked in the mirror, I saw average and ordinary. That's how I viewed myself. Nothing special about me. I'm average and ordinary. And then one day I learned I'm extraordinary. Not because I'm so great. You're extraordinary too. But what if you're walking around the world right now not knowing you're extraordinary? You're walking around thinking you're average and ordinary, but the truth is you're extraordinary. You have greatness inside of you. You have a purpose in life. You have many purposes in life. And your purpose can be this simple. So I'm a stepdad. I've got two, we call them bonus daughters. I have 2 bonus daughters, okay? So part of my purpose in life is to be their bonus dad. It could be that simple. There's a man right now he's literally living on the streets. And I met him because he was living at one point in the parking lot where I bank. And I took on the idea that my purpose in life is to help him. And so he's one of the people in my life, just like a coaching client. He's not a coaching client. He didn't have any money to pay me. That's not our agreement. But I've taken that on in my mind. That's part of my purpose in life, to care for this human being, to love on him, to help him in different ways. He's not my responsibility, but he's part of my purpose. It can be that simple. Maybe it's your neighbor that you help out. Your neighbor's in a situation and they need you to help them out. So you have a purpose in life. You have greatness inside of you. You were born with natural gifts and talents. What does that mean? That means that you were born better than 90% of the global population with certain things. Like maybe you're really good with music. Part of your natural gifts and talents. Part of my natural gifts and talents is encouragement, teaching, public speaking. These are things that I do, right? Maybe you're really good with numbers. Maybe you're great with money. Maybe you're a great cook. Maybe you're super organized, right? You have natural gifts and talents. You have greatness inside of you. I want you to know I believe in you. I'm in your corner. So let me tell you a quick story about one of my clients. And her name is Jerry. So Jerry says to me one day, the essence of what she said was, I'm okay at closing. That was the conversation. I'm okay at closing. So if that's her language, we create our reality with language. So if Jerry says she's okay at closing, then I go, I believe you. That's who you are. And she doesn't have to stay that way. In other words, she could go from living into I'm okay at closing. Snap your fingers, she could say, I'm good at closing. And she could live into that. Or she could go from I'm okay at closing to I'm great at closing. I'm phenomenal at closing. Or how I challenged her is I said, Jerry, I heard what you said. You're okay. You want to know what my truth is about you, Jerry? She goes, what? I said, Jerry, you're a master of enrollment. That's who you are. So if she goes, oh, that's who I am, then I need to be that. You see, if you're a husband like me, you have a self-image about the kind of husband you are, right? If we had a confidential coaching call and I'm like, just lay it on me. What kind of husband are you? Give me the good, the bad, the ugly. Lay it on me. And you're like, yeah, I'm not a very good husband. Let's just say that's what you said. You're creating that through your language, and you're going to live into that, and you're going to show up as that. So here would be my coaching. Why don't you show up as the world's greatest husband? So I'll tell you a little thing that happened on Sunday. All right. Sunday, after I went to church, my wife wanted to do this special thing for one of her friends. And it was at a really popular restaurant, and there was going to be a gathering of a group of women. I wasn't invited because it was a women's thing. Okay. So group of women, really popular restaurant. They don't take reservations. So you got to go and reserve the table. You got to show up in person. And it was a big party. And so my wife asked me, would you be willing to go down there and get the table for us? Like show up 45 minutes early. So when we arrive, we can get the table. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Well, the restaurant was a half an hour away. So I drove there like an hour and 15 minutes before they arrived. And then I went and got the tables all set up. And then I did that. And then she showed up and then I split. So it ended up being about, 2 or 3 hours of my day on Sunday serving my wife, serving the woman that she was throwing the party for, serving all the women that came. That's what being the world's greatest husband looks like. That's at least my version of it. Now, when I say world's greatest husband and me living into that identity, you can be the world's greatest husband. You could be the world's greatest wife. You could be the world's greatest girlfriend. You could be the world's greatest boyfriend. And you can expand that out into other areas of your life as well. It's not when I'm teaching you this, it's not a competition. I'm not competing against other husbands for I'm number one. It's about being, for my wife, the best husband that I can be. Now, do you think that makes a difference in my marriage? Yes, yes, or yes. See, that's me living into the story I've created about myself. Now, am I a bad husband or the world's greatest husband or somewhere in between? And here's the answer. Whatever I say I am. You're whoever you say you are. If you tell me I'm inconsistent, I go, okay, that's who you are. If the sentence you say to me after you say I'm inconsistent, you say I'm consistent, you're like, Eric, I'm inconsistent. No, wait a minute. No, actually, scratch that. I'm a master of consistency. I go, I believe you. We create our reality with our language. So are you inconsistent or a master of consistency? The answer is yes. It's whatever you say you are. I am a master of action. Why? Because I say I am. And I show up that way every day. But you can too. You go, I'm not good with money. If you say so, the breath after that, I'm great with money. And you live into that. And your whole world changes. I'm a former cook at McDonald's, college dropout, living my best life because I learned different ways to use my mind. So tune in with me as often as you want. We're doing this Monday through Friday. I'm going to be bringing on some special guests now with my little streaming thing. I can bring on some of my motivational superstar friends, people like Les Brown. One day you'll show up and Les will be here. You're like, whoa, that's awesome. We get to learn from Les today or whoever. I got all kinds of cool friends that we can bring on here. So that's going to wrap up the show today, guys. If you got something out of class, type the word yes in the chat. If you got something out of class today, type the word yes in the chat. If you know somebody that could benefit from some motivation, let them know about the show here so they can plug in. It's free. We're streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all over the world, soon to be TikTok and Instagram. I got to figure out how to do that, but I think there's a way to do it. Wonderful to be with you guys today. Have a great, fantastic, successful Tuesday, and go out there and produce whatever producing is for you. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.